William Cheung is one of the Canadian experts who worked on the UN biodiversity report released today. He's an associate professor at the Institute for Oceans and Fisheries at the University of British Columbia. And as you can see, he joins me now. Professor Cheung, thanks for taking time to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do that.
Can you begin by explaining for us how this assessment of the serious threats to the planet's biodiversity was carried out? Tell us what we're actually looking at here today in this packet of information.
Yeah, so what we are seeing from the report that is telling us is that we are facing a unprecedented threats from the degradations and loss of biodiversity on land, oceans, and in rivers. And these losses are actually threatening our ability to support the sustainable society in the future. So it's not only about the organisms or biodiversity, but also about our society that include things that we care about, such as the economies, equity, food security, health. But the thing is that we know that there are ways we can help transform our society in order to deal with these global challenges so that we can allow us to achieve a sustainable society in the future.
Okay, let me get to some of those in a moment. But it's a pretty ominous report, but certainly not the first report to measure the negative impacts humans are having on our ecosystems. And yet, the message doesn't seem to be sinking in for a lot of people. How come?
I think people do not realize that this is such a big impact on the way of life that people are having right now. I think people may think that this is about biodiversity or organisms that are remote from them that that would not affect their life. But then this report really highlights that these biodiversity are really connected to people. There are a whole range of things that we currently are benefiting and enjoying and that are essential for our society that are really dependent on these organisms, biodiversity, and their health in order to ensure and support these things that we are enjoying right now. So I think that the importance of this report, one of the importance of this report that highlights that aspect.
Why do you think governments and societies in general have largely been slow to recognize these challenges and recognize the damage being done and slow to change?
I think the governments recognize these it is a challenge, and there are international conventions, for example, that deal with these issues, such as the Convention on Biological Diversity. But that's, I think, the existing framework and policies of dealing with this is not enough. This report really highlights the need for transformations of our society in order to really deal with the global challenges on biodiversity that are highlighted in this report.
What does sorry if I can jump, what does transformational change mean? What's required?
It means a change of the way we are living. Yeah, so it doesn't mean that we can do it by continuing with the way our society operates, the way many people are utilizing resources and things like that. It means that in order to really deal with this challenge that are highlighted in the report, we need to substantially change those things, and that means that is what this transformation is referring to.
But what does it mean for? Can you give me an example? What does it mean for any particular person? What does it mean in terms of? I think people hear transformational change and protecting biodiversity, and they think big economic challenges, big income losses. So what is it people need to understand about what transformational change could mean to them?
Yeah, so for one example is that we need to, for example, in the way that the economy of our society is working, we focus a lot on the short-term gains and in order to support economic growth. But that without realizing that that's not sustainable and that we need a different ways of accounting for economic growth in order to realize the long-term support that our environment is providing us to sustain a long-term growth of the economy. So what we are currently doing now is basically not sustainable. We are actually utilizing the opportunities that our future generations are having in order to support the growth that we have. And that's why it is leading to all these degradations of biodiversity and ecosystems that are documented in the report. And without securing this diversity, it cannot sustain the economy in the future. So one aspect of transformation, for example, is the way that the economy is being accounted for in terms of, for example, the target for their growth and how to account for the changes in the environment and biodiversity in assessing the growth of our society.
Okay, specifically, what's the biggest challenge for Canada in the findings from this report?
I think that for Canada is I think Canada poses an example of other countries that are also facing is that the report really highlight that we are seeing this challenge is a global challenge, and the global challenge really required effort at different levels, including global level. So we need to cooperate internationally in order to tackle this big challenge, and so it means that we cannot, each countries cannot just do their own things in their own countries. One of the reasons for that is that all these problems are interconnected. Canada may enjoy a good environment, but then we also have a big footprint on environment and biodiversity in other countries. We are relying on resources, for example, far away in Asia or in Africa. And so the way, one of the challenge for countries like Canada is that how we can both ensure that the biodiversity and environment within our countries are secured, as well as also supporting and promoting and coordinating the conservations in other countries.
All right, Professor William Cheung from University of British Columbia. Thanks so much for your insight on this tonight. Good to talk to you.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.